Well, hello there everyone, and welcome to the second in the series of Excel tutorials that I'm going to bring you exclusively from my blog at nicholasperkins.com and also through my YouTube channel, SuperNico79. I hope you enjoyed my first tutorial. It was on the SUMIF function of Excel, and this kind of leads in from that. I sort of mentioned the other day the wonderful COUNTIF function that sort of plays along similar lines to SUMIF. So I thought today I'd just run through that very quickly for you. Now I've done up a little sheet here of for major industries. They obviously construct things, or maybe they have a workshop and they need to go along and check their workplace health and safety regularly, and they have all these little items here that they check, and they want to be able to go along with this PDA or a laptop and just mark yes or no, these are all compliant, and get a total at the end of everything that's compliant and everything that's not compliant. These figures could then be fed into some sort of management reporting tool for workplace health and safety, just so they can see how they're going. Now, if you had 5 items, you could just easily come along here and type yes, no, yes, yes, no. Okay, so I've got 3 compliant and 2 not compliant. That's great, but what if you've got 20 items, or you've got items across 3 different sheets broken down into different categories? It makes it a bit more difficult to do that, and a lot more time consuming as well. So in that situation, the best option is to use COUNTIF. Now what COUNTIF will do for you is it will count all the items in this column here, or in fact any column that you select, based on the criteria. So what I'll do is I'll quickly show you how to use it. First off, you need to make sure that whatever you're counting will be constant. So you're counting, in this case, yeses or nos, but someone could come along and type in true. It's compliant. Or they could use ones or zeros, as some programmers are prone to do, to indicate yes and no. If you don't know what they're going to be using, it can make it very difficult for you to use this formula. So you need to use data validation to make sure that they can only input what you're expecting. And I'll show you how to do that as well. So I'll quickly just bring the screen up so you can see the menu bar here. Now in Excel 2007 you'll find data validation under the data tab here. In Excel 2003 there's actually the data menu that you can pick from. And over here, which is the data validation button, on Excel 2007, there's just a menu item in 2003, it'll bring up for you the dialog to allow you to add data validation to a cell. Now I've got these cells selected here. Now I'm just going to cancel that because I want to do all 5 at the same time, and I'll just click on that button again and bring this up. So now you can actually choose to validate a whole lot of things. You can do a custom validation, a text length, time and date, just depending on what you want, but today we want list. Now the source today, because I don't really have this yes and no anywhere else, I'm not going to use this button, which allows me to go and pick a source list from the spreadsheet. I'm actually going to just manually do this. So I'll just take that out because that's useless to me today, and just type yes and no. Very simple. People can understand that very easily. So if I click OK, we now have a drop-down list that they can choose from, so they can choose yes or no. Some people don't like drop-down lists. You can still type it in, it'll be fine. But if they try and type in true, or tour, or whatever you like, sorry, you've entered an invalid option, as you can see there. So we'll retry that, and we'll make it, we'll retry that, take that out, and select yes, and no, and maybe just because it's easier, I'll type in a few of those. So I'll just bring this back down now because we're finished with that top bar, and I want you to be able to see all the way down here to our summary. Now if I was doing this on maybe 5 items, I would just go and count 1, 2 yes, 1, 2, 3 no. But again, if I've got 20, 30, 40, 50 items, that's going to take a while. So how about we just try this COUNTIF that I've been talking about. So I'll take these numbers out, and we'll start with the first one, which is for the total compliant. So we just start with equals, and we type COUNTIF, which is our function. Now, COUNTIF only requires 2 functions. You'll remember if you looked at the SUMIF one, it had 3. The first argument that it requires is the range you're going to count over. So for us, this will be these cells right here. Now you could use a named range or a dynamic name range. You could also select a number of different cells, so you might want to count those ones and those ones and those ones there and maybe those ones there. Excel's pretty good with this COUNTIF business, but we only want the 5 today. The next argument is the criteria. Now also you might remember that if you have what you want to count as part of your table, so if this said yes, I could just click here and use that as my criteria. It's not going to work for me today, so I'm just actually going to manually use my own criteria. So I'll just type in yes there. And that will count the number of yeses. So as you can see, we've got 2 yeses up there, and we've got 2 down here. Now I'll just copy this formula down, but what I'll do first is change these to an absolute reference using the F4 button. And then we'll copy that across and move down to cell and then paste that in. Now obviously we want to count no for the non-compliant or uncompliant. I wonder if uncompliant is actually a word. I've probably used some very bad English there. That's okay. And we're not worried about English, we're worried about Excel. So we've now got 1, 2 and 3 no's and 2 yeses. Now if Joe goes out onto maybe job site 1 and he's filling out this form, as he goes along he can see just how many items are outstanding. So staff are happy today, the representative was there, all the cords are in the correct places, but unfortunately they weren't using their protective equipment, so we'll have to mark them down, and it's 4 to 1. And you know, you could also use this sort of data to get a percentage of the number of items that are outstanding, which can be fed into management reports, used in graphs and things like that, which helps with your compliance. So that's the simple way of using COUNTIF. There's many ways you can use it, many different things. You can count numbers, you can count letters, you can count words, you could count sentences if you really wanted to. You've really just got to define exactly what you want to count. Hopefully this has been useful for you. If you've got any questions about COUNTIF or any of my other tutorials, come along to nicholasperkins.com, ask a question, and I'll be happy to help you out. Until next time, see you later.